Shalom family, Shemani Laya. Thank you for joining me at Unsectarian Wisdom. And as usual, I'm a wise, wealthy, rich, celestial being that is loved by the Most High Creator. Let's go ahead and jump in, family. We're getting into chapter 6 of the Navigator who crossed the ice wall. Chapter 6, Anakim, the Giants of the South. Alright. Stunned by what had happened and still not fully understanding the dramatic situation that was taking place in these lands, many images crossed my mind, surely derived from the fear and helplessness of seeing the suffering of my new brothers before my eyes. There were people on the ground under the dust and rubble, like the tragically famous Sodom and Gomorrah. Enemy crossfire could be heard in the distance. I was innocent. People die that day. I saw innocent people die that day. Everything was getting out of control. In just a few moments, we watched the sky full of small silver spheres with red lights that followed the whole scene. I was not sure if they were from the Republic or enemies, but there they were without missing anything of the gloomy scene. We ran trying to help those we were crossing on the way, but the reality is that we had to leave the boat as soon as possible. We were all going in different directions. The voice that before tried to calm us down now gave orders that were almost pleased to go urgently to the building of the presidential office, LACERTA. That's what we did. Those who were left standing in the middle of a rain of debris and some detonations. That's what we did. Those who were left standing in the middle of a rain of debris and some detonations. Anguish and anger fell on me like lightning in the ocean. I raised my eyes to the sky, begging for some kind of mercy. The sky was in a furious red tone. I could observe that the sun's glow did not burn my sight. It had a dark tone in what I thought was the moon. It had a dark tone in what I thought was the moon. Stood out in the distance in a totally black color, as in the middle of an eclipse. I thought then that it was the strangest sky that anyone from the known lands had ever witnessed. Added the strange spheres that danced in the air in all directions. They were like silver eyes observing everything. The next question resounded inside me immediately after. Who was controlling these small objects? And what was their function? As far as I could see in the midst of it all, none of them were performing any attack maneuvers. The situation at the time was really heartbreaking. The building was intact and I could enter without major problems. Although for obvious reasons, there has been some turmoil at the entrance. Anyway, and despite the existing fear, people respected each other in an extraordinary way. I cannot even imagine the chaos that could mean a similar situation in my homeland. I had lost the whole group in desperation under enemy fire. I felt concerned for the others, and with the responsibility by experience in the Continental Navy to put myself at their disposal to help in some way to the city that had just received us in the best way and now suffered the onslaught of an enemy still invisible. The wounded numbered in the thousands. There were so many equipped rooms that in the face of such an attack of dimensions never seen in my humble wartime past, the wounded numbered in the thousands. There were so many equipped rooms that in the face of such an attack of dimensions never seen in my humble wartime past, I was shocked. I tried to find the team, but it was impossible. I could not even recognize one of them. The people who were there in the different corners of this huge building looked at me with some suspicion. I was a newcomer from other lands, and with me had also come a fierce and fatal attack that would leave at least a quarter of the city destroyed. I tried to go through the different floors without getting lost, and to find the office of President Fael. I needed to talk urgently with the high command. I wanted to satisfy my many questions about the enemy. I wanted to put myself at his orders. This attack was not going to be one like any other. It had touched my heart so much that I felt equally part of these lands, as much as the others who had suffered at my side, as if my blood had been born here long ago. To my surprise, I found Fael with a face of extreme concern with Captain Butler. I called his name without being able to wait to arrive among so many people around. Butler performed a kind of typical military salute from afar, without losing customs. I was glad to see a familiar face, and it generated me confidence among so much typical. Hold on. I was glad to see a familiar face, and it generated me. I was glad to see a familiar face, and it generated me confidence among such atypical war madness. I saluted Fael as best as I could, with a faltering voice, who said everything with his melancholic look. He showed to be depressed by the situation, which was not for less. I put myself under his orders to help in what he needed and required such a situation. Fael thanked the gesture, but commented that nothing we could do but wait for the moment. Although in a failed way, I tried again to deposit my many questions. The moment deserved it in my mind, but fuck! Family, forgive me. Excuse my language. Hold on. I put myself under his orders to help in what he needed and required such a situation. Fael thanked the gesture, but commented that nothing we could do but wait for the moment. Although in a failed way, I tried again to deposit my many questions. The moment deserved it in my mind, but Fael was in a heated conversation in a kind of tiny communicator, where the other voice repeated constantly, and the following was clearly heard. We are requesting support from the Anakim. We have no choice, Fael. This was a planned attack to destroy a civilian and secure area. There is no turning back. Butler turned back to me with the typical look of leadership, reinforcing my idea that what I had heard. Are they talking about what I imagined? I asked Butler lowly. He nodded his head. They are the giant warriors of the South. William. Fael heard him and blurted out a sentence that left me even more intrigued. Not only that, they are the saviors of our people, the ones who led us to these lands before the reset of our time. He then commented to Butler that he should leave but to do what was needed, and quickly returned to his office with 3 agents following him. Butler asked me to follow him, and so I did, as best as I could among thousands of agents coming and going. Another attack was feared. War was brewing on the very land we had only set foot on a few hours before. The captain told me that it was time to rest before embarking on a new journey and another destination. I stared at him as if expressing my fear again. Besides, I was not sure if our ship was still standing. I could hear explosions outside. It was then when I thought to ask, where would this destination be, and the reason for it? Was it something that Fael had requested? He explained to me that it was not exactly Fael's plan, but that the moment required it. He would go to look for the team first, to gather them here, and once they were all here, we would undertake a unique trip to the Anakim lands. But first we would pass by their home. I was stunned trying to digest these words. I wanted to have said so many things, but my voice barely made a sound that made no sense in any language. Butler then clarified, in case it was necessary before my desperate way of expressing myself. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you sooner, William. I am as much a part of these lands as anyone else you see suffering here. I was born with the ancestral blood, and I am watching my brothers die. Apparently they want to repeat history, even in these lands. It is time to save again the only humanity that has survived a custodial reset, and who can save us all. Who better than the very ones who helped cross the ice walls back then? Butler then marched off and got lost among the agents waiting outside. I lay down on the most comfortable bed my body had ever been in, intending to sleep, but who was going to sleep after all I had been through? How would my reason process so much information from a human story never told? How could I not see the eyes of my new brothers falling in pain and not feel that we were on the right side, and that we had escaped from a sinister place that I used to call home? These feelings hit my chest with a resentment and deep venom. I would want at that moment to open the doors to the innocence we were leaving behind, to the loved ones of the known lands. Alright, family, that's it. Next, we'll be getting into Chapter 7, The Disease of the Human Being. Alright, family, catch y'all later. Be blessed. Shalom.